Alright, good day to everyone. So today I will be doing a lesson about an introduction to music. Okay, so before we start, since this is an introduction, I want to first define what music is. Okay, so for you, what is music? Okay, for me, this is my definition of music. Alright, so music is an arrangement or the arrangement of musical note in a way that it creates a pleasing sound. So when you say it's a pleasing sound, it sounds good to your ear, yes. So otherwise, it is not music. What do you call it then? If it's not pleasing, it is a noise. Any sound that is not pleasing to the ear can be a noise. So we don't want that. So in order to prevent that from happening, we arrange it in a way that it can create a pleasing sound. So when we say musical note, okay, this is not the note that we take on our notebook. No, it's a different note. So I am putting emphasis on musical note because in music, the notes are the sounds, right? So sounds. Okay, so before we get into music, okay, so I want you to look at this picture that I have for you. So besides looking at it, I want you to hear it. Hear it? Yes, it has sound. Okay, just imagine you close your eyes and you are in this place. What do you hear? Right? So perhaps you can hear the splashing of the water. Yes. How about the chirping of the birds? How about the leaves? Yeah, brushing each other. Okay, so does it sound pleasing? Yes, right? For me, it's pleasing. So can I call it music? Perhaps yes. So perhaps that's the reason why they call it the sound of nature or the music of nature. Now, I'm thinking, since this is pleasing, is it just about the sounds? The sound in this place, in this nature? Why do you think this is pleasing? How about the silence? I think that is one characteristic of this place which makes it pleasing to our ears, is the silence. Alright. So perhaps we are forgetting a certain element that makes a music pleasing. Perhaps that is the silence. Or in music we call the silence as rest. Okay, so now can we define it again? So putting the new element now we have the note and we have the rest. So music is the arrangement of musical notes and musical rest. Okay, that is the sound and the silence together. And since it was arranged, we are creating a pleasing sound, right? Otherwise, it's not music. What do you call it when it's not pleasing or it's irritating to the ear? It is noise. Okay, so imagine without, if we do not arrange music, perhaps it will sound like this one. Alright, so, okay, I have a piano here by the way, and I have a drums. Perhaps we will be playing that later. So, if we don't arrange notes and rest, for instance, I don't put silence on my playing, it will sound like this. It doesn't sound good at all. So, do you think that's music? No, it's not music. It's called noise. Alright, so we don't want that. So, that's the reason for us to arrange our notes and musical rest. Okay, so we have the note. Again, when we're calling a note in music, when we're talking about note in music, we're just pertaining to the sound. So this one symbolizes the sound. And a rest. So we have a symbol for notes and we have a symbol for the rest. And when we're talking about rest, we're talking about, does it have a sound? No, it does not have a sound. It's just silence. Alright? Okay, so unfortunately, there are plenty more kinds of notes and plenty more kinds of rest. So these are not the only ones, the one that I have given you right now. But then, since you think that, so I don't want to study that, that sounds complicated. No, I think that makes it more exciting because otherwise it will be dull, it will be boring. Okay, so now let's read the definition that we have again. So we're reading and reading it again until you understand. So music is the arrangement of musical notes and musical rest in a way that it creates a pleasing sound. For some, it doesn't make any sense yet. how do I arrange notes? How do I arrange rest? So you can arrange it through, okay, I encircled the arrangement through time. Yes, you heard that right. So we are arranging it in time. So what's the best way to study time but by counting? So we need to count in order to study time. So let's say, for instance, let's count 1 to 4. So let's count 1 to 4 repetitively. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And since we have 1, 2, 3, 4 count, perhaps it's best for us to have 4 symbols also. So unfortunately, we have only 2 symbols here. One is a note and one is a rest. Again, one is a sound and one is a silence. So let's put 2 more. So perhaps I want to put, that's a bar line right there. Perhaps I want to put another, let's 4 count, rest there, and then another note there. So I guess that will, for me, I think that will sound like number 1 is a sound, number 2 is a rest, number 3 is a sound again, and then number 4 is a rest. Let's experiment on it. So let's try playing it through our piano. Okay, let's try doing it. So what is it again? So 1 is for sound, 2 is for silence, 3 is for sound again, and 4 is for silence. So I'm just playing the C note. What's that? Okay, I'm just going to play this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Have you noticed something? So in number 1, I am playing a note because that is a note and that is a sound. The number 2, I'm pausing. I'm lifting my finger because I don't want to hit it because that is a silence. Number 3, I played it again. And 4, that's a silence again. So let's try to play a simple music using that. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And last 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a music. Okay, so I hope you understand that that is just a simple one. Right, so let's move on. So like I told you, we have different types of notes. That is not the only note that we have. So we have whole note, we have half note. The one that we have before or previously is a quarter note. Okay, then 8th note and 16th note. What does they mean? What do they mean? They look different, but do they mean differently? Okay, they are the same because they are all sounds, but they are different when it terms of timing. Again, we're about time again. So when we're talking about time, we're talking about counting. Okay, earlier what we did is we count to 4. So perhaps let's count 1, 2, 3, 4. So for whole note, it looks like a circle right in there. You can see that the circle there or the round note there is what we call a whole note. So a whole note is played for 4 counts. What does that mean? That means that a sound is that long. It's so long that it can sustain for 4 counts. So if I clap right here, that is a note, right? Because that is a sound. But can it be a whole note? No, it cannot, because a clap is just fast. I want a sound that prolongs or sustains. Perhaps I can use a violin, but I don't have a violin right now, so let's just change the effect of my piano. So this one, piano, 1, 2, only 2 counts, right? So let's make a violin. That's long, right? That's long. So that can be a whole note. Like I told you, a whole note are 4 bits or 4 counts. So let's count 1 to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You understand? So that is whole note. So a whole note is a sound that prolongs for 4 counts. Alright, next one. The half note is different because in half note we are only prolonging the note or sustaining the note for only 2 counts. So it's much faster than whole note. So let's try doing that one. Okay, so it's only 1, 2. So count with me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can hear, in 1, 2, I am prolonging the sound because that is one whole note. And then in 3, 4, that is another half note. Okay, I hope you understand that. So I lift my finger, then I hit it again on 3, 4 because that is another half note. Okay, so next one would be a quarter note. So it sounds like this one. It's just one beat or one quarter note per beat or per count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can now use my clap. Why? Because a clap can sustain for at least one count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, a clap can be a quarter note. But then, true or false? Can a clap be a half note? It cannot, because a clap is just a quick sound. It doesn't sustain for 2 counts or for 4 counts. Alright? Let's proceed to 8th note. So 8th note, it has a tail. So if you can see that, that is how this one is how 8th note looks like. It looks like a quarter note, but then it has a tail behind it. Alright, so 8th note is 1/2 beat. 1/2 beat. It is much faster than quarter note because we're trying to put 2 8th note together to make 1 beat. Yes, when you divide a 1 bit in half, that is 1/2. What does that mean? That is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, later we will get back to that. So that the idea is it's much faster. And then in 16th note, that is a 1/4 bit, meaning you need to have a 4/16th note to make 1 bit. Let's try doing that. So this one is, I want you to perform with me. I want you to make music with me. Unfortunately, like I told you, a clap can only have a very short sound. It cannot sustain for 4 counts. So let's imagine that it has a sound. So when our hands close together, let's imagine that it's making a sound. So as long as it is together or clasped together, let's imagine that it's making a sound. Then as we release it, as we open it, then there is no sound anymore. So let's say for instance 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I release it. So that is our whole note because our hands are closed and it's sustained for how many counts? For 4 counts. Alright, so that is our whole note. Then on the next measure right here, on the next bar right here is a half note which has 2 sounds. So that is 1, 2, release it, right? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 3, 4, those are 2 quarter notes. So 3, 4. Again, let's try doing it again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Have you got it, kids? Okay, you try it. Okay, next one. This one looks harder, more difficult. So this one, the one that you can see here, these are just 2 8 notes, okay, tied up together. So their tails are together. Okay. Now we are counting it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Why is that so? So because we don't want to count this one because we only have 1, 2, 3, 4. So since this is a half beat, 1/2 beat, that means that I can play 2 notes before I reach another count. So 1 and 2, E and A, 3, 4. Like I told you, it's much quicker. So 1 and 2. Alright, so 1 and 2, E and A, 3, 4. That's fast, right? So like I told you, to E and A, we use the E and A to pertain to the 4/16th note that we are trying to fit in this single count. What is that count? That is count number 2. We are using the E and A to fit this 4/16th note together in a single count, which is number 2. Okay? I hope it's getting clearer for you now. So let's try doing that again. So if we have only 4/4 note, it sounds like this. Kind of boring. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if we have 4/8 note, sorry, 8/8 note, so that will sound like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But if we have plenty of 16th note in a single bar in 4 counts, so 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. It sounds faster, right? So let's try performing this bar again. So 1 and 2 E and A, 3, 4. Alright, so and what makes it more exciting are the rest. Okay, the rest are our silence. So we have whole rest, we have half rest, we have quarter rest, and we have a rest. So again, when we say whole rest, they are 4 bits of sound or silence. Silence, because it's a rest, it's not a note. If it's a note, then it has sound. If it's a rest, then it's just complete silence. So how do I play a whole rest? Simple, I just lay back here and then count 1, 2, 3, 4, because it doesn't have a sound, right? Alright, so next one is, you see a half note there, so we have 2 counts of sound and then a half rest, so another 2 count of silence. Alright, so it sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, I just opened my hands like this one because I don't want to make a sound. If our hands are closed, that is a sound. So I want you to be performing with me, huh? Okay, I don't want you to just look at your screen. You need to clap your hands also. So again, let's try to do that bar again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple, right? Next one. Okay, as you can see, that lightning look-alike symbol, that is our quarter rest. So when we say quarter rest, that is 1 count of sound or silence. It's silence. Very good. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. But then, if you can see here, that is an 8th note followed by an 8th rest. So that is a fast sound, then a fast silence or fast rest. So that would be 1, 2, and 3, 4. It's fast. So 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. You can see the urgency right there, right? You see how I tap it and then I immediately pull it off because I don't want to make a sound on end. So I just make a sound on 2 in end. I just release my hand because I don't want to make a sound, because that is a rest. Alright, so I have right here, so if you remember, we have we also have a drum here, so perhaps we can play it also. Right, let's put it on the highest volume right there. Okay. Right, so before we play this one, I want to show you our notes. Okay, so we have in 4 counts, we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and right. So there are plenty of 8th note followed by the 8th rest. Okay, in the next bar there is a half rest, so that is two counts of silence without sound, and then a quarter rest. Okay, that is 1 count of silence followed by a 8th note, that is a quick sound, followed by a 8th rest. And then on the next measure, that is a 1 sound, then 1 silence right here, followed by 1 sound again, then 1 silence. This one is 1 Number one is a silence followed by a sound, then followed again by a silence, then a sound again. So let's play the first bar with using my hi-hat. So 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, the next one will be played with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 4. Right? 4 and. 4 and. I immediately close it up. So 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Sorry, 4 and. Alright, like that. So the next one is simple. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next one will be my snare drum. It will sound like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so how about playing them all together? So it will sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and. So what we did, we just made a simple drum beat. That is one of the most basic drum beat. So can you do you understand now why we need to arrange our notes? So the reason why we need to arrange the notes and don't forget the rest is because we want to arrange it so that it makes a pleasing sound like what we just did here. Alright, so here will be our activity. So if you are at home, so you want to make your own music as well, so you don't need to have an instrument like I have. So I have piano and I have drums, but you can use your own instruments at home. Own instrument? I don't have an instrument. How about your hands? That is an instrument because you can make a sound using that. How about some stick? And make some sound. So our activity is you need to create and perform a simple beat like what I did by arranging the notes and rest together. Then you show your arrangement of musical notes and musical rest through a paper. You just write it. Okay, you draw the symbols that I have taught you today. So you can use quarter notes, whole note, rest, quarter rest, half rest. So I have taught it to you. I want you to use it and make your own beat and make your own music. Don't forget to be creative. That's it. So I hope you learned from our lesson today. So see ya.